Okay, so volunteering as a pathway to employability, how to make the most of your volunteering. I'm going to get you to do a little poll in a moment, but first of all, we'll whiz through what the outcomes are for today. So to begin with, the first outcome, to identify the skills you have, you want to have, and you want to develop. So skills mean anything that you're good at that's relevant to a position in volunteering or employment. So cooking, for instance, is a useful skill for events, for organisations that might use volunteers. And also if you want to work in hospitality in the restaurant business, obviously cooking would be a good skill. Next one, know how to find out which skills are in demand in Australia. It's not much use to develop some skill and spend a lot of time and possibly money on it if there isn't a position that would suit that opportunity at the time. So if you wanted to train up on being a travel agent, that might not be the most relevant thing for the next 6 months, not for international travel anyway, I would imagine. Positions that match your skills and personality. We'll be looking at the skills and then the jobs and then the volunteering that could match your skills. And you kind of need to have some awareness of yourself about what you like doing and what would make you want to stay in a job because it's something you enjoy. We try not to force ourselves into positions or occupations that really aren't what makes us tick. So for instance, if you really liked being alone and hanging with your computer, then you probably wouldn't want to do events management. You might be more happy with data entry type stuff. And vice versa. If you really love people, then you probably won't want to be stuck in a room by yourself all day. It's a bit hard at the moment, isn't it, for those sort of people with isolation? Okay, know how volunteering can help you build a skill set. It can help you build on the skills you already have and perhaps make them more suited to the workplace. And it can also help you develop some skills that you're not very good at just yet. So for instance, if you've got an office position, an admin position, and as a volunteer, you would pretty soon learn about how maybe Excel and databases and Microsoft Office, those sort of things work, and get some familiarization with them in a work environment. And finally, how to show off your skills when you're applying for a job. We'll give you some tips on how to really shine, and particularly a job interview where you make yourself look like a star using the STAR method. Okay, so that's the outcomes for today. Let's get into it. This website, an Australian government website, and this is called Job Outlook, as you can see. And it's pretty handy for finding out jobs which suit your skills, and also, in theory at least, what the best jobs are to look for in the Australian environment. Now, I will caution that some parts of this website might be requiring an update because of the corona situation and the way the economy is headed, which you probably heard is into recession, meaning that there'll be less businesses operating at lower levels, with lower levels of employment, and there'll be less money that people have to spend. And this matters because the extra money that people have, what we call disposable income after you've paid for your rent and bills and that sort of thing, often got spent on things such as hospitality and other forms of entertainment that might not be affordable for many people. So you would expect those jobs not to be highlighted as prospects on this website, but that isn't always the case. I think they need to update it a little bit, and we'll see why shortly. Now, before we proceed, I would like to run a little poll to see. Oh, did you start that one, Emily?
Sure.
Oh, I can see the poll's running and people have hopped onto it already. Sorry, I didn't realise that poll was up and running. So I've asked you, I'll tell you the results in a minute, what sort of position you're in at the moment, whether you're currently an active volunteer and so on. So I think I can display those and share the results. So here's the profile at the moment for the people in the webinar. Some people are actively volunteering, some usually do, but not at the moment, probably because their agency that they volunteer at isn't operating. Some have volunteered in the past, someone else intends to volunteer, and then we have a few staff members along. And well, not many of you actually hope volunteering will help you get a job. So, okay, that's interesting to know. We'll just carry on. All right, so first of all, the future outlook. This part of the Job Outlook website, as it says, finds industry and jobs that are expected to grow. And if you look at this, with the red line there, these are the jobs that this website says were expected to grow when they made that page. And I've got a feeling that page was made before the middle of March when Corona really took hold, because I agree with 3 out of 4 of those predictions. I'm going to run another little poll now. At least I'd like to. I'll just have to relaunch it. Okay. Oh, how am I going? Sorry about this. I'm just trying to figure out how to get the next poll up.
Yeah,
it's up.
oh, wait.
No, I've got to get the second one up. Okay, here we go. Second poll. This, can you see that one now? Yep. Okay, so the 3 job opportunities in a recession, which is coming up, that you are most likely to see. The 3 best job opportunities. The fields that are expected to grow. One person's having a good think, but 9 out of 10 people have voted. I'll share the results now. And I tell you what, the group mind is pretty good at getting things right. The correct answers are given here. You got them, the group got them. Education is a big one. Health and the associated sort of service things like, you know, caring of people, what we call allied health and those sort of things, aged care and so on, and utilities, because everyone needs their water and electricity, and they're going to keep paying for those before they, for instance, go out to a restaurant. Construction industry is actually expected to die down quite a lot because people won't have the money around to afford to start building a place. Well, I mean, we know a lot of people do still have their jobs and still have disposable income, but there's probably going to be plenty of housing around for them to buy up. They might not need to build anything. And certainly the commercial sector in a recession doesn't go around building high rise and that sort of thing. So your polling shows the reality, and it's actually a little bit more on track than what the job outlook site says. Healthcare and social assistance, yes. Education and training, yes. Professional, scientific and technical must probably be okay too, but construction, not so much. So, I live in Katoomba, and here's the famous Skyway, and that employed a lot of people and had a turnover of about 50 million a year, and now it's all shut because there's no international tourists, and even the domestic tourism isn't really operating at the moment. So that's not a good place, and it's a shame because it employed quite a few people in Katoomba. Not a good place to get a job now. It's all shut up in mothballs, and no one knows when it's going to reopen. Okay, now I'd like to hear from you, and you can type these into the chat. What skills you would consider yourself above average in? So you can really think of anything to do with employment, hobbies, your lifestyle, even your personality. Are you a good people person? Good with kids? Are you a detailed person? Do you finish things? Anything like that. Time to show off, time to shine. Or maybe you just, you can say, I'm good at knitting, or I'm good at gardening, or something like that. Good at computers. Please, everybody, tap something into the chat. One thing. Quick learner, computers, leadership, computer skills, writing, teaching, a people person, relationship building, good computer skills, a team player, attention to detail, good people skills, good on the learning curve. So useful these days, isn't it, with technology? Keen to learn. Good communication skills, enjoy working with children, admin experience and a quick learner, assisting others. Make a great team, you people, wouldn't you? Look at all those skills. Patient. Yes, that's a big one in volunteering, isn't it? Sometimes you've got to be very patient. A good team person. And it's not something you see so much in, when jobs are advertised. It's not often that you see that quality of patience as seen as desirable, but it's so important. Good team person, adaptable, love to help people. It really makes sense when you see things like assisting, love to help people, and so on, that these people are volunteers, because that's what it's all about. And then we have some more, specialist aspects like being a detailed person. And that can help already get you an idea of where your strengths would lie in an actual position. So detailed people are very good at often organising, administration, even things like event management and so on, where you've got to, make sure everybody's got a napkin or whatever it is. Okay, so I whacked in a few ideas, but you've covered a lot of those. Nobody mentioned cooking. It's funny, I did one of these a while ago and like half the class was cooking. Yeah, so you mentioned quite a few of those. Typical list. Now some skills that you would like to develop or improve upon. And these could be exactly what you just typed in, like someone who put in computer skills might want to type that in again. Or they might think, I really should improve my and have a go at finishing that sentence. I really would like to improve my public speaking. Great. Thank you, Glenn. Excel's a deep well. There's so much to know about Excel. It's a fun program. I quite like it. Technology, connecting with other people. Great. Online teaching. Yeah, well, that's the way to go these days, isn't it? And reminding us it's Glenn's birthday today. That would be a people person right there. Happy birthday, Glenn. Creating more public networking. That is so important and quite challenging, I think. We're often trying to get attention and get people behind our cause or our organisation these days, aren't we? And it's not an easy thing to do. There's so much noise out there. Research skills. Public speaking. Great. And confidence. I'm just trying to think of the public, there is a public speaking kind of club. Is that Probus or maybe not?
Yes.
It is Probus. Yeah, yeah. If you look up Probus, P-R-O-B-I-S, then people who aren't confident in public speaking get together and practice with each other. P-R-O-B-I-S. All right, here's some more examples, and none of these popped up in the chat, I don't think. One thing I have noticed with people who are fairly new to Australia, migrants, is just Australian office procedures and all the little acronyms, the words like EEO and RTO and RDO and WHS, so on and so forth. All these little things that if you've been in the workforce for a while in Australia, you know what they mean. EEO is equal employment opportunity, meaning that everybody should be considered for the job regardless of their race, religion, sexuality, marital status, and so on. So that's something that you really only get to know in a worky type environment, and volunteering situations are a great help with that, because you have those things often in the sites where volunteering happens. Other example, retail, doing presentations, caring for the dying, running events, project management. Huge range of things are available in volunteering. The public face of volunteering that we so often see is people perhaps, you know, rescuing SES, that sort of stuff, or in op shops, or handing out food. There's a lot of admin type stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and some quite high level stuff like project management. Okay, so you might have skills that are very relevant to volunteering or getting employed. You might have personal attributes, and you might not really recognize them at the moment. You might not have seen them for what they are. So here's a little puzzle for you. Does anyone know what this is, this thing? It's an object that you will recognize in a moment, viewed from a particular angle. Someone says a mouse. Good try. But no, it's not a mouse. It's not a key. It's pretty hard from this angle. I'm going to give you another angle now. Public speaking clicker. Good try. Good imagination, Emma. And Glenn gets the prize. It is indeed, viewed from the top, a microscope. There we go. So once you realise what you are actually looking at, you can name it. So you might be good at something and you haven't thought about all the amazing skills and personal attributes that go into doing that particular task. For instance, if you've ever made your own curtains, you'll have a bunch of skills that you haven't even thought about or recognised. We'll return to the curtains in a moment. So, people that know you well, family, friends, how would they describe you? Now, you might not have nice, flattering words that come to mind immediately, like, oh, well, that person's lazy, they might say about you. You could say, I'm laid back, I'm relaxed, I'm patient. They might say bossy, and well, perhaps you just are direct and take a lead in things. So anything that other people would say about you, you think, flattering or not, just type them into the chat. So here we go. We've got from Nihat, she's good leader, happy person. Don't be modest, by the way. It is not the time when you're trying to, say, sell yourself in a job interview. That's right, you go for it, Cheryline. Cheryline is direct and takes leadership. Intelligent, hardworking, great. A connector, a team worker. Patient, quiet, supportive, honest, committed, efficient. Accessible, positive, personable, loud. Not shy, hey, Cheryline? Great, so bunch of qualities and hang on to those. Keep them in mind, because when you are scanning the landscape for volunteer opportunities or for job opportunities, look out for those sort of qualities. Look out for positions that would suit you, because that's what other people see you as. All right, back to our curtains. Another chance to type into the chat. What skills or qualities does a person who can make and hang curtains have? Some skills or qualities. So loud and personable, not so useful here, but there's a whole bunch of skills or qualities that are in a person who is clever enough to, and I've never done it, make a set of curtains, hang them up. Detail, good organizer. Tailoring, drilling holes in the wall. Sewing, concentration. Committed to job responsibilities. You've got to follow through with this one, don't you? You can't sort of half put up curtains. It's not going to work. Good eye for style, nicely spotted, Glenn. Committed to job responsibilities, wanting to do it. Yep. It's so much easier when you want to do something, isn't it? It just pulls you into the task. Observation to details, great. Okay, let's have a look at my little brainstormy ones. There's a list of things pretty similar to what you came up with. So, if you're the sort of person that can make and put up curtains, then jobs, positions, volunteer positions that require those things may be along the lines of what you could be going for. All right, let's have a look at another thing that you may have done. Has Anybody worked out how to shop online? No, not yet, says Neha. Oh, yes, says Sherilyn. It's quite a popular thing to do in the current climate, isn't it? Okay, so some skills for this activity, which should never be done under the influence of alcohol, apparently, are problem solving, having some computer skills, searching, selecting, comparing, that sort of stuff. Now, there's some words that go along with this that you would see. Self-restraint, nice one, Emma. Planning skills, yeah. Let's have a look at these words at the top here. So these are words that we might not use so much in day-to-day conversation, but they certainly appear a lot in the business world, which has its own special set of words. So we might just call it shopping, but in business, you might call it procuring. And procurement, in fact, is quite a specialist thing. And really, you've got to be good at finding things, finding good deals, comparing them, getting the best product, negotiating a big bulk order of things for cheap. In the current climate, here's some things that people have been trying to procure in the last few months. And there's a bit of skill in tracking these things down and getting a good deal. And that skill is valued and people get paid to do it. They have job titles. We'll see what they are in a minute. So we're going to go back to the Job Outlook website, the Australian government website. It's got quite a few good things in it. One of them is the tool called Skills Match. We won't go through it now, but I invite you to later on after the webinar. And Skills Match gets you to put in some jobs you've worked in, unpaid work, volunteering, and it'll show you some skills that tend to go along with that job, and it'll give you some new job ideas. So that's a handy one. Now that we've got an idea of what skills actually are, you might like to try that one out later on. Okay, back to our online shopping type stuff and this idea of procurement. This site can help you search for jobs that might interest you. So there's that word procurement. And if you enter that in, boom, you will get some careers that pop up. So the first one, policy and planning manager. Now, for someone who's looking for a job, to get $2,338 a week is not what we call an entry-level position. That's a lot of money, and you probably wouldn't be getting over $2,000 a week when you start. So perhaps looking a bit more modestly, we'll look at the next one, purchasing and supply logistics clerks. So that's more in the range of the average income. The future growth is predicted to be moderate, or it was when this data was entered into the website. I'm not sure how realistic that is now. I just don't know. Could be, it couldn't be, I'm not sure. Maybe people will be looking for better and better deals. And you can see the skill level here. It's not highly skilled job, so it's probably more realistic as an entry thing to get some experience in this position, purchasing and supply logistic clerk and policy and planning manager. Worth investigating. Let's have a look at it. Purchasing officer. Now, how would you look for a job? Actually look for a job as a purchasing officer. How do we search for jobs? Well, this is one day that it used to be done. Once upon a time, it might have meant walking around with a swag over your shoulder. This is where the term swagman comes from in the Waltzing Matilda song. With technology, of course, we don't need to walk around with our swag on, looking for jobs, going into farms, as happened in the Great Depression. We can go straight to a website like Seek, which often offers both paid and volunteer opportunities. So I've typed in purchasing officer here, and I found 941 jobs. Now, we weren't actually doing this to look for a job, just to see what sort of skills this job might require. So we have a look at one of them, procurement officer, store person, and then we have a look at, in the underline in red there, what the job is about. What the job is about is there, tailored procurement and supply chain support to a wide range of industries. So in other words, going shopping for all these sorts of industries, mining, construction, hospitality, transportation, government. If you like shopping and comparing and so on, this is a good job for you. Let's have a look at the skill set in it. All right, so hopefully they're pretty familiar with skills, and I must say those skills will probably apply to half the jobs available. pretty generic or common set of skills, I would say. However, if you don't have some of those skills and you want to be a professional shopper, then you're going to have to improve them. So let's have a look at the first one, proficiency in Microsoft Outlook, Word, and Excel. One way to improve is using the internet to learn. Pretty handy at the moment. So we can sit at home and we can look at YouTube videos or YouTube tutorials, sometimes interactive ones, that would help us learn that skill. And on the net, there's tutorials on pretty much anything. I did this one recently because some of my work involves training people who work with the elderly, and this online course, it's called a MOOC, a massive open online course. It's free. I thoroughly recommend it for anybody who works with elderly people, offered by the University of Tasmania. I watched, I don't know, maybe 30 videos and read some stuff and answered lots and lots of quizzes, and I learned a heck of a lot about dementia in a quite relaxed and enjoyable way. So I upskilled myself there. There's hundreds of courses available. You just have to search around for them. This is a commercial one, teaching computer stuff, mainly stuff that you would do through a computer. You get the first month free, and it's a pretty good one to have a look around. Very convenient. Of course, you are learning, you're learning from home, you're learning alone. You might have some sort of connectivity with other people doing the course. In fact, you usually do. You can discuss things, but it's not quite like getting the real experience. And that's when volunteering really comes in handy. Let's have a look at how to find volunteer position and a volunteer position. So here's a website, Go Volunteer, finds volunteering opportunities for you. Let's pop in a keyword. I'm going to try sales because that keyword appeared a lot around procurement jobs. If you wanted to get a job in procurement, then a lot of the recommendations of experience was if you had a background in sales. Why would that be? You're shopping, you're not selling. Well, the thing is, you're probably quite good at negotiating, and you've got that business transaction type skill. You can talk to people about buying and selling stuff. So we put in sales. What do we come up with? Here's a couple of positions that came up straight away. Op shop or warehouse assistant. Don't forget the Seek website also has a section for volunteers. Here's an op shop. Now, don't just jump into the first volunteer position you see. Have a think about it. You'll be doing this all day, or for your shift, 4 hours, whatever it is. So do you like sorting out clothes and selling them? Fixing up things on hangers, telling people, oh yeah, I can show you something that'd suit. Or would you rather move around boxes and be in a place where you didn't have so much contact with the public? Are you happy lifting up heavy stuff? So think it through before you jump into the first volunteer position that you see. You can also search, here we are on the Seek volunteer part of the Seek website, according to the location where you are. So you don't want to have to travel too far to do your volunteering. So this one's Parramatta plus 15 kilometres. Okay, let's look at it from another angle. Many jobs require you to work as part of a team. And you've already said in the chat that some of you are good team players. Now here comes a very different sort of a role, a volunteering role, for those who have skills in sailing a boat. Yes, I said sailing a boat. So this charity, Sailability, has volunteers who help people with disabilities sail boats, because it's fun, right? You can see that this really looks like a team. So it's probably a good place to get team skills. Sailing requires quite a few other skills as well. Anybody feel like typing a skill into the chat that would go along well with sailing? Imagine yourself, you're out there on the boat and the wind's blowing, it's all hectic, whizzing around. Stuff happens as well. What could be some skills that would be handy? Communication, sailing skills, courage, nice one there. Yeah, sailing skills is kind of like, that's a standout, but yes, problem solving, nice one. To be a quick thinker, absolutely. To be friendly, understand the weather patterns. It's pretty huge, isn't it? When you think about it, there's a hang of a lot involved with sailing. And you might think to be flexible and adaptable, be a good listener, all this stuff. So sailing on its own has a lot of these, and then with the added layer of volunteering with people with disabilities in a team and helping people who might not be confident at all with being out on the water, there's a hang of a lot there. So this could get you a huge bunch of skills. We'll just do a little final poll now, I think it is. See what you think are the big three. The big three here. Let's have a look at this one. Not such a challenging poll, this one, was it? And the group mind is having no trouble at all with it. Okay, here's your results for that one. Somebody's put data entry, and that might be some more in-depth thinking there, no pun intended. Perhaps when you're doing your results for how many people you've trained, or for getting the coordinates for the weather or something. But yeah, the main three: cool in the crisis, attention to detail, and knowing how to tie knots will be good. All right. Oops, today. Yes, okay. So what I'd encourage you to do, good little thing to have recorded, is to identify your skills and strengths. And if there was a particular job opportunity you were interested in, you can probably make a list. You can probably look at the skills and strengths required for particular jobs and go, oh yeah, that's me, that's me, that's me, and start to build up a list of your own skills and strengths. Then, using the Job Outlook website in particular, you can search for jobs that would match your skill set. You can look at advertisements, and this could apply to volunteering positions or job opportunities that want the skills that you have and the experience if you've got it too. And of course, if you see a job that requires certain types of experience, like experience with Microsoft Outlook, then you can look for volunteering positions that would include that. It helps us get around that old problem of, to get the job, you need the experience. And if you haven't got the experience, you can't get the job. It just goes round and round. Volunteering can get around that. Then there's the skills that you aren't great on, you want to improve on them. Look for volunteering opportunities to fix the gap. Now, I would just remind you here, don't get too carried away with looking for opportunities that might not exist for a while, such as being a operator of a Skyway in Katoomba, or travel agent, or in the construction industry. Various occupations are not looking too good for the next few months, at least. All right, now for the rest of this webinar, we're going to look at how to be a star in an interview. Here's a unlikely job interview where you actually get to do thing you're supposed to know about. So if you were going for a job in IKEA and you got told to have a seat and you had to build it yourself, that would be demonstrating you knew how to put stuff together. All right, the 4 points of being about a star. In a job interview, this is a series of steps that you can follow when you answer certain interview questions. So imagine you'd volunteered for a while at Saleability. And then you apply for a position in a public relations firm. Public relations firms deal at times with crisis situations. So this imaginary public relations firm has a well-known client, Mark Zuckerberg, the creator of Facebook. Let's imagine you've actually scored yourself an interview. And you know that Mark Zuckerberg often finds himself defending Facebook's reputation and privacy procedures. And in the interview, you are asked if you're good in a crisis. Here's some answers. No, I'm not good in a crisis. Oh, yes, I'm good. I'm not sure about that. Or definitely, I volunteered for Saleability. Now, none of these answers are very good. The last one's probably the best of a bad lot. The reason they're not good is because they don't really show you, they don't illustrate you as being a star in a crisis. They just say, yeah, I can do it. In the star format, remember there's 4 steps to it. The first one is the situation. So first of all, you could, in the job interview for public relations, for Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook, you go, oh yeah, actually I am good in a crisis. I used to work for this organisation that helped people with a disability get out on the water and sail. I volunteered at Penrith Lakes for 3 years. So that just sets the scene, what the position was. And then you say, now, there was one time when a young man who didn't have the use of his legs, he capsized and he was under the boat and I could see him from the shore. He was in trouble. Now, at this point, anybody interviewing you will not be going, oh, yeah, they say they're good in a crisis. They'll be leaning forward going, hey, what happened next? I hope you're leaning forward, everybody. Now you hit the actual task. So you say, he was in trouble. He was possibly trapped and in danger of drowning. Somebody had to rescue him right away. Now, they should be really interested, though. They're wrapped up in the story. Now, the third part. You've described the situation, you've described the task, now the action that you had to take. I did what anybody would have done, you say, because that's what heroes say when they rescue somebody. I jumped into an inflatable and I raced to save him from drowning. Or something like that. Maybe he was panicking a bit and I calmed him down. So you big it up here. Make this story sound really like you are the best person in a crisis imaginable. You took some action and then describe that action. Then you can talk about the result. When he was calm, I got him to attach a rope to the sailboat so we could get it pulled up. At the end of the day, everything was well. He was back safe and sound on the jetty and he was pretty pleased with himself. No harm was done. Everybody thought I'd handle it well. So that's what being a star's about. Actually making a story that illustrates you can do what was required, the skill that was required for the job. Not just saying, yeah, I'm good in a crisis, or yeah, I work for sailability. So have your stories ready. Let's just review again. Situation, bit of background, the actual task you had to do, the action you took, and the result. So have a look at the skills that you have. Think about the situations you've been in when you use them. Think about events and stories that are relevant to that skill. So if a job requires public speaking, then talk about the time where you got up in front of the whole school and introduced the play or whatever it was. It really paints a much better picture of you when you can give examples of your skill. And you really could write down the story, practice it, rehearse it, so that you can present yourself well in an interview. Now, some of you at the beginning of the webinar, a couple of you were early. Did anybody actually go and do this little test here? The DOPE test, the DOPE 4-bird test. Did anybody do that? Actor, did you come up with a bird that you are? Anybody get a result there? What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a moment. And if you wish, you can Google up those words and find out what sort of bird you are. I'll tell you about it first. The 4 personalities that this test yields are peacock, eagle, dove, and owl. It's not a official psychology amazing test. It's just a quite amusing one to do, because it gives you some clues about your personality that might give you clues about the sort of occupation that would suit you. So let's just have a little think about it. Would anybody like to type in the sort of bird, owl, eagle, dove, or peacock, that would be good if you wanted to be a police officer or a CEO of an organization, for example? So to be a police officer or a CEO, do you think it would be best to be? Thank you, Christy. Christy says eagle, 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 because they're direct and they see what's going on and they take action. Okay. What about if you wanted to be a librarian? Your choices are eagle, peacock, owl, and dove. We have another eagle eye for the librarian. I wasn't thinking of librarian. Peacock, eagle, owl, and dove. Eagle, eagle, eagle. Well, you'd have some pretty okay, I'll just tell you the one I was thinking of. Thank you, Neha. That's the one I was thinking of. The owl, the quiet, organized attention to detail people. I mean, in real life, owls are actually terrifying predators that eat mice, but owl is kind of the stereotypical librarian type, glasses, books, and that sort of thing. Now, if you do this test, you might learn some stuff about yourself and learn which types of positions would suit you best. For example, when I did mine, I came up as a peacock predominantly, which means that I like to be out there in front of people. So here I am doing a webinar, and it suits teachers and trainers and those sort of public speakers and that sort of thing. What about someone who was a good people person and liked to keep everything smooth and harmonious between people? Good at keeping everybody feeling happy. Dove, owl, peacock, or eagle? Any guesses? Dove, indeed. Dove, dove, dove. Yes, thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Franchina. Volunteers are often doves. Doves are great people in the helping professions. They know and they want to make people feel good. So they're good at that. Now, when you do this test, you might come across as a bit of this and a bit of that. I would describe that as a well-balanced individual. So you might just be 25% of everything. Usually people are a little bit stronger here or there, and some people are extreme. So I'll leave you now to do that, and we'll wrap up here. I will, however, I'll just warn you, when you do this, if you do it on a phone, or you might see this button that says start here. Don't press the button. Just scroll down until you see the questions, because the start here buttons is one of those annoying downloader things or something like that you just try to avoid. Just scroll down and do the test. Now, I'll leave that slide up. In the meantime, I'm very open to hearing from you, and you may wish to type in the chat any questions or comments that you have. I thank you for participating today, and I would ask you that you do the evaluation that we've provided you a link for, and also to check the LEAP website in the future for more webinars. So I'll leave the screen up, and please chat to me if you wish. If you've got any more questions or comments, very happy to take them. I'll be online for a little while, and if you just want to go off and do the test, then you can do that. Thanks for attending today.